Regarding this, a journey to the West, as I just mentioned, I hope everyone, I'm just going to recite this for you, so we can all immerse ourselves in the state of remembering His Holiness. This brings merit on one hand, and on the other hand, I believe this year His Holiness will especially bless each person. 20 years after his passing, we still haven't forgotten, so we express our gratitude to His Holiness in another way. His Holiness mentioned in some of his books that he would leave first, but would continue to exist in another way. So whether it's the photos or the videos and texts here, all of these are authentic. His Holiness's Vajra speech at that time. So I hope everyone, while I'm teaching, I won't be able to say much due to time constraints. I think if I'm too verbose, everyone will be exhausted. Everyone has many daily classes, so I can't be too lengthy. But while I'm teaching, if there are parts useful to you, it's best to mark them or prepare a special notebook. Throughout this memoir of His Holiness, the teachings it brings to you, you can make use of them. Also, later when you propagate the Dharma, all of these can be used. In your own practice, they're also useful. Today we'll discuss the qualities of bodhicitta. Didn't His Holiness say yesterday that these great masters of Tibetan Buddhism almost all practice these two teachings, bodhicitta and dzogchen? His Holiness said, let's first discuss bodhicitta, the qualities of bodhicitta. Now I'll begin to introduce bodhicitta to everyone. Regarding bodhicitta, our root teacher, Buddha Shakyamuni, with his great loving kindness and compassion, had repeatedly observed over countless eons what would be the most beneficial to sentient beings and would best help them to eliminate their suffering. By thorough investigation and reflection, the Buddha found that there was no better way than to practice the precious jewel like bodhicitta. So bodhicitta can temporarily bring sentient beings peace and happiness in the human and celestial realms. Ultimately, it will enable all of them to attain supreme Buddhahood. Therefore, in this world, people who want to be free from suffering and attain happiness must rely on bodhicitta. The method His Holiness teaches here for transmitting bodhicitta. 2 years ago, I translated a text specifically for conferring the bodhisattva vow and distributed it to everyone. Actually, all the scriptural sources His Holiness cited he had completely memorized. When the time comes, if you use this as a reference, it should be very good. In the West, His Holiness didn't cite many scriptural sources because it needed translation. So generally the scriptural sources in his mind he conveyed in plain language throughout. Actually, all of this is from the first chapter of the Bodhicharyavatara. Some time ago, you also received the Bodhisattva vow from Khenpo, and I heard all of this was introduced one by one. We have also conferred the Bodhisattva vow to everyone before. Once bodhicitta arises in a person's mind stream, that person is no longer an ordinary being. The moment bodhicitta arises in terms of the name, the person's name becomes that of a bodhisattva, an heir of the Tathagatas, who is completely beyond the realms of mundane beings. In terms of the significance, from then on, the person becomes the object of reverence for celestial beings, nagas, rakshasas, yakshas, gandharvas, humans, spirits, and other beings. They become an object of prostration, offerings, and veneration. Therefore, cultivating bodhicitta is extremely important. Isn't there an account in the sutras? When the Buddha was approaching Nirvana, Ananda was by his side. The Buddha appeared somewhat tearful. Ananda asked why. He said, "Around me now are many arhats, which is comparable to a wealthy person leaving who only has daughters and no sons to inherit his estate. So you should generate bodhicitta at that time to truly pass on the Tathagata's teachings. It's the Mahayana heirs of the Buddha who are appropriate." Now let me give an example here. For instance, 1 tile of magical alchemical elixir has the potential to instantly turn 1,000 tiles of ordinary iron into gold. Through this, all the previous ordinary iron transforms into pure gold. In the same way, bodhicitta can quickly transform this ordinary human body that is impure and unpleasant into the Buddha body that is so perfect in appearance that beings will not tire of seeing it, and that can benefit all sentient beings at all times. Actually, all of these are citations from the Bodhicharyavatara. His Holiness directly used skillful language to convey this to them. Without bodhicitta, all forms of good deeds, including those of the body, like doing prostrations and circumambulations, and those of the speech, like chanting sutras and mantras, would be like the banana tree that bears fruit only once and then decays. The good deeds carried out with bodhicitta, like the wish-fulfilling tree in the celestial world and a fruit tree on earth, keeps bearing fruit one after another continuously. It can result in rebirth as a benevolent ruler, like a Chakravartin or universal monarch on earth, or Indra and Brahma in the celestial realm. Finally, you can attain supreme Buddhahood to constantly, pervasively, and spontaneously benefit innumerable sentient beings. With bodhicitta, the mundane negative deeds you have accrued from beginningless time, such as killing, stealing, and others, are like a heap of hay set on fire and will be burned in a flash without remainder. Even more, even if you have committed a heinous crime, such as killing your father or mother, killing an arhat, committing the 5 heinous crimes of immediate retribution, even after falling into the lower realms, you will be liberated in the snap of a finger, immediately obtaining liberation like a balloon bouncing up. You won't need to experience such suffering in the lower realms, just like the story of King Ajatashatru. Therefore, those who want to purify their negative karma should practice bodhicitta. The above are a few of the qualities of bodhicitta that His Holiness has explained. If you truly want to learn this topic more extensively, the Avatamsaka Sutra explains with more than 100 analogies, more than 130 analogies. In the Chinese version of the Avatamsaka Sutra, which Avatamsaka, there's the 80 scroll, the 60 scroll, there are quite a few Avatamsakas. In one called the Entering the Dharma Realm chapter, there are 118 qualities. In all the major commentaries on the Three Vows treatise of our Tibetan tradition, in the great commentary by Mipham Rinpoche, I remember there are something like over 200 analogies. Generally, quite a lot is mentioned. If you want to understand the meritorious qualities of bodhicitta in the most concise way, keep in mind the following 3 points. This is a citation from the Prayer of Maitreya. I think it's probably in the one we had before. First, if you possess bodhicitta, you will not fall into the 3 lower realms. Second, if you possess bodhicitta even without diligent practice, you can still be effortlessly reborn in the higher realms of humans and gods. Third, if you possess bodhicitta, you can attain the fruition of Buddhahood and pass beyond the cycle of old age and death. So bodhicitta has such great qualities. His Holiness said, today we are gathering here, so let us take this wonderful opportunity to receive the Bodhisattva vow together. Next, His Holiness will confer the Bodhisattva vow. This Bodhisattva vow has 3 parts: preliminary, main practice, and conclusion. First, before taking the refuge vows, clearly visualize that the space in front of you is filled with the Buddhas of the 10 directions, the Bodhisattva Mahasattvas of the 10 bhumis, and the lineage of Vajra Masters. We ourselves should also visualize this way now. Today we won't do it extensively, not like some time ago when you had 2 or 3 hours. It won't be like that. But today we'll use Chinese to receive it together again. In this way, visualize in front of yourself all the Buddhas of the 10 directions, all the Bodhisattvas of the 10 directions, all the Vajra Masters, including Garab Dorje, Jamyang Khyentse, His Holiness, Jigme Phuntsok. They are all before me. They are all our witnesses. We will generate bodhicitta in their presence. Generating bodhicitta, the more the better. So, after visualizing this way, recite together with us. Everyone, recite after me once. His Holiness also taught it this way. So let's recite together. All Buddhas who dwell in the 10 directions, all great bodhisattvas on the 10 levels, all great teachers, Vajra holders, please turn your minds toward me, I pray. This is what we usually recite. Let us all visualize together this way, because regarding the Bodhisattva vow, it's best to receive it in the presence of a teacher. If conditions with the teacher are not met, you can receive it in front of the 3 jewels representations. If this is also not available, like in special times in the past, you can visualize before yourself and receive it in their presence. According to the view of Nagarjuna Bodhisattva, this is acceptable. Before developing bodhicitta, you must embrace the refuge vows. Without taking refuge in the 3 jewels, it is impossible to accomplish any level of Dharma. So first I will give the vows of refuge. When taking refuge in the 3 jewels, first you go for refuge in the Buddha. That is to vow that from now on and for all lifetimes going forward, refuge is taken in the root teacher, Buddha Shakyamuni. You will not convert to any other teacher who promotes a different doctrine that goes against the Buddha's teaching. To make such a vow is to take refuge in the Buddha. Later, whether we teach others, I think in His Holiness's teaching here, there are many concise and essential pith instructions. As for refuge, if we teach it extensively, you see in Longchenpa's texts, there's so much. If it's simple, His Holiness does it like this. Next is to take refuge in the Dharma. That is to vow to practice the Dharma that the Buddha taught, and to not embrace any doctrine other than that. This is the vow of taking refuge in the Dharma, and then taking refuge in the Sangha. Third is to take refuge in the Sangha. The Sangha refers to the Mahayana Sangha, Manjushri, Vajrapani, Avalokiteshvara, Padmasambhava, and so forth, these followers of the Buddha. I will take them as an example, aligning myself with them through view and conduct, and thus learn and practice the path of liberation. This is the vow of taking refuge in the Sangha. In short, even if your life is in danger, you must never abandon the three jewels. This is very important. When His Holiness encountered great difficulties, he often never abandoned the three jewels and prayed to them. In the 2 interviews that follow, His Holiness said that when encountering the greatest difficulties, I pray to the three jewels to overcome all disasters. You must promise to always follow them. Next, recite the refuge vows 3 times. I don't know now because you're not together either. Everyone together while thinking in your heart what we just discussed. We will take refuge in the three jewels. Of course, each person has already during empowerments. We've already recited refuge many times. Many people have surely become Buddhist refugees. But according to this lineage, we will still take refuge together. Until the essence of enlightenment is reached, I go for refuge in the Buddha, I take refuge in the Dharma, and in the entire host of bodhisattvas. Until the essence of enlightenment is reached, I go for refuge in the Buddha, I take refuge in the Dharma and in the entire host of bodhisattvas. Until the essence of enlightenment is reached, I go for refuge in the Buddha, I take refuge in the Dharma and in the entire host of bodhisattvas. After reciting 3 times like this, His Holiness said, now you have taken the refuge vows. Do you understand? From today, because at that time when we were in Hawaii, some people came because of His Holiness's reputation, and some had just taken refuge. There were people like that too. At that time we all felt very joyful seeing so many people, because it was the first time seeing so many Westerners. It was very touching. Wow, so many people taking refuge in the Dharma. How wonderful. You have taken the refuge vows and become Buddhists. The difference between a Buddhist and non-Buddhist is whether or not refuge has been taken. This is how it's distinguished. You also need to know that from now on, whatever Dharma you practice will have obvious results. Indeed, taking refuge or not, generating bodhicitta or not, there's a particularly great difference. As long as you pray to the three jewels wholeheartedly, you will certainly receive protection. If you wish for worldly fame, happiness, power and status, just pray to the three jewels sincerely, and these benefits will come to you as well. After taking refuge in the three jewels, you must abstain from intentionally harming any sentient being and try to truly benefit them instead. This is most essential. This is the most fundamental. This explains the refuge practice. Next, generating bodhicitta. Next is the main part of the ritual for receiving the bodhisattva vow, the generation of bodhicitta. There are 2 types of bodhicitta, aspirational bodhicitta and practical bodhicitta. Aspirational bodhicitta is the wish or prayer for all sentient beings to attain Buddhahood. This is aspirational bodhicitta, mainly in the mind. In addition, practical bodhicitta is to engage in order to actualize the wish, in actual practice, in the many bodhisattva practices and disciplines through the 6 paramitas of generosity, discipline, patience, and others. Now join me in reciting the verses for taking the bodhisattva vow 3 times. After the first recitation, visualize that you have generated aspirational bodhicitta. After the second recitation, visualize that you have generated practical bodhicitta. After the third recitation, visualize that these 2 bodhicittas arise simultaneously in your mind. Everyone should know this. This is Nagarjuna Bodhisattva's view. In some commentaries on the 3 Vows treatise, I've explained this before. Generally, according to our Sangha Bodhisattva's view, with this verse, the preceding verse, aspirational bodhicitta, after reciting 3 times, aspirational bodhicitta arises. The following verse, likewise for the benefit of beings, I give rise to the bodhicitta. After reciting this 3 times, practical bodhicitta arises. These two arise separately and are recited separately. According to Nagarjuna Bodhisattva's view, when reciting this verse the first time, aspirational bodhicitta arises. The second time, practical bodhicitta arises. Then the third time, these two arise simultaneously. Originally they arose separately, but the third time they arise together. Think this way. Following this, take the bodhisattva vow, and you can then be called a child of the Buddhas and Bodhisattva. We can also recite this. Everyone, you can also recite it with me 3 times. You also recite this often. Just as all the Buddhas of the past have brought forth the awakened mind, and through discipline the Bodhisattvas abided and trained step by step, likewise, for the benefit of beings, I give rise to the bodhicitta, follow their conduct and will abide and train myself. Just as all the Buddhas of the past have brought forth the awakened mind, and through discipline the Bodhisattvas abided and trained step by step. Likewise, for the benefit of beings, I give rise to the bodhicitta, follow their conduct and will abide and train myself. Just as all the Buddhas of the past have brought forth the awakened mind, and through discipline the Bodhisattvas abided and trained step by step, likewise, for the benefit of beings, I give rise to the bodhicitta, follow their conduct, and will abide and train myself. Good. We've recited it 3 times, so now you have received the bodhisattva vow and have developed the precious jewel-like bodhicitta in your mind stream. You can be called a bodhisattva. Indeed, there are bodhisattvas in terms of view and bodhisattvas in terms of conduct. This is a bodhisattva in terms of conduct. We can already, with bodhicitta, all be like this. In particular, if on the basis of aspirational bodhicitta, you really benefit sentient beings through your body and speech, putting it into action, that is the practical application of bodhicitta. I think let's introduce up to here. You have become bodhisattvas. You've all become bodhisattvas. At this point, everyone has now generated bodhicitta. After bodhicitta has arisen, what follows is rejoicing for self and others. We'll continue tomorrow. Actually, there's no class tomorrow. We'll continue the day after tomorrow. All right, let's end here for today. Let's all dedicate the merit together.
Sonam dei tamse thobaya tonne de jana pase jirgana jirano chupai jupun sonen draja
ma bandran gara badna asadarda ma bandran gara badna asadarda Om Bandara Bara Banma Sadar Do